There's always that little lag at the end.
It always throws me off too. What are we at?
I know.
We're approaching 100 shows, and there's things I still.
Yeah, I think we're on episode 81 now, 81, 82.
So 81 or 82. That's and we're going into election season, so that should
bring us right up into the 100th episode. Yeah.
We should get right there.
Yeah, well, what was it? A couple summers ago, I think we started this around that time, the end of the summer, and all the haters came out. Oh, what are your numbers? Blah, blah, blah. You guys are not going to make it. Here we are. We're not going anywhere.
Yeah, because we don't have any bills to pay related to this.
Exactly.
It's free.
It's free. It's free. Real quick, so we wait for a couple more people.
Yeah.
To come in. How was your Memorial Day weekend?
A very nice weekend. We had fire pits. We had barbecues. I spent some time. So I have a 3-season porch, and I've been trying to find cool places to kind of hang out and just sit there with my eyes closed and listen to what's going on around me and think about whatever.
Yeah.
And I spent some time on the I guess you call it meditation on this 3-season porch.
Good.
Thinking about some family members that are not with us, and thinking about some military people that are not with us. And other than that, it was all great.
Yeah.
Even that part was enriching.
Good.
How about you? How was yours? You were St. Augustine, right?
St. Augustine, buddy. Our favorite place in Florida other than Boca.
It looked like fun.
It is, man. St. Augustine is great, man. Found a restaurant just opened there, and called DJ's Clam Shack, and the owner is originally from Ipswich. So they have one in Key West. They have like 4 around the country, and the newest one is in St. Augustine, and it's right next to the Airbnb, right in downtown. So I went in there. You're always skeptical, right? When you're outside of New England and they say, "Oh, Ipswich clams and lobster rolls," and so I got an Ipswich clam basket. They don't call them plates, right? And I got a lobster roll. So I'm trying it all. I told him I'm just going to give it my honest opinion. Onion rings, French, dude. Stuff was banging good. Ipswich clams, nice size, nice belly. Not these little things, right?
I like the big fat bellies.
Yeah. And the lobster roll, not too much junk on it. Just enough.
So let me ask you something.
Excuse me, with the New England buns.
Ooh.
The New England. Well, so up there you can say ooh, but it's a big deal because they don't have them outside of New England. It's hard to find them.
Well, no, and I was
cut on both sides.
And I was going to ask you on top of that, because so if you've never done this or ever had this experience, like I'm a coffee jerk, and even though I don't drink Starbucks because I think it's the greatest thing, but it's for me the best, most convenient coffee I can get. When you get a cold brew up here in Boston versus a cold brew in Florida, there is a huge difference. Your water sucks, period. So it has an impact. But the interesting thing is it must not have an impact on like the fried clams or whatever, right? Like, tell me what do you?
Well, because the clams, it's oil, right? It has nothing to do with the water, has nothing to do with anything. It's the batter.
There's no.
And it's the oil. They have to keep the oil fresh. Don't mix, don't cross-contaminate oils, which a lot of places do, like in Deerfield Beach. I went to this place and the clams tasted like French fries.
They were cooking it. Yeah, they were.
Yeah, they cross contaminate the grease. So there's a whole thing that goes to it. And as far as cold brew up there, cold brew down here, I don't notice the difference. I just like strong coffee. I like strong coffee, nice flavor. I mean, I don't, and I'm a coffee guy. Coffee.
Look at that. That's not
barrel O coffee.
What is that? What'd you bring? The whole pot?
Yeah, it's
just drinking out of the carafe.
Yeah, I won't finish that. It'll go back in the refrigerator. I only drink iced coffee, by the way. You know. Anyways.
Anywho.
So it was a good time. Me and Dr. Vera had a blast.
I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah, daughter Amanda took a friend of hers from college, and they were off on their own, doing their own thing. And we love St. Augustine. Highly recommend people go visit it. It's a great place. Yeah. And we'll be back up there on the 4th of July. So
yes.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So let me kick this off. Yeah.
More than happy to let you.
All right.
I just before you do.
Yeah.
I know where it's going now because I just clicked on something anyway. So that's why I'm laughing. So go ahead.
Okay. So the transcript picked up on a story.
Imagine that.
Picked up on a story. And it's our story, right?
Yep.
So hey, listen, good for them. We're not in any competition with them. I think we present better than them. I think we're more entertaining than them. But they picked up on the Bill the Shill Schmidt, head of the Board of Health story. And I believe the headline was chicken controversy turns personal.
Yeah, chicken coop. I'll tell you, chicken coop dispute gets personal.
Yeah. So they went out, they interviewed Vasily Malios. He told his side of the story, which we know is the correct side of the story. Vasily has what?
That's front page, by the way. Let's not overlook that fact.
Yeah. Well, listen, it's an interesting story. And as we say, our issues aren't about the top. Like, it's not about the chicken. It's not about the coops. It's like the flag thing isn't about the flag. It's other things. It's how the local government handles it, right?
Right.
So in the article, they get Vasily's side, and then they have they get like a neutral side, I guess, and then they get Bill the Shill Schmidt's side of the story, right? So where he gaslights, which is what his people of his ilk do. They love gaslighting, right? He downplays it. He tries to flip it and say, "Oh, he's the one that made it personal," when Bill was the one sending text messages to Vasily, unwarranted, unsolicited text messages that the town council seems to overlook. John Munson in particular, who is basically in bed with, not literally, but he's hitched his horse. Be
careful about that.
It doesn't matter if what I say about him. He's irrelevant. He's shown where he's all about. John Munson, who's running for re-election for town council, for the town council seat, is right in lockstep with Bill Schmidt.
Yeah, I've got some stuff to share with you on that, but go on.
Yeah, and we're going to keep hammering this home. Bill Schmidt abused his power, and I don't care if people are sick of hearing this. They have to hear it, and it has to set in. He abused his power. He abused his power as the head of the Board of Health. He overreached for a personal vendetta against a private citizen. And people, you have to understand that Bill Schmidt did this. He literally went out of his way to enact revenge on a private citizen who dared to stand up to him. And all the evidence is laid out right in front of it. And John Munson, town councilor John Munson, up for re-election in November, says, it's really, and he has, like, a town councilor should be like, that's egregious. Nobody should do that. But no, John Munson and Bill Schmidt are in lockstep.
Actually, the town council, and I'm glad you brought up Mr. Munson, the town council should be prepared to vote to remove people who who demonstrate incompetence, disrespect towards townspeople. You know, the number of the amount of incorrect information he has said publicly. Remember, this man is in charge of he is, by the way, he is the second most powerful man in the town of Winthrop, maybe the most, depending on how you look at it. I mean, his scope is limited to public health related issues. He only needs 3 votes, and he's one of them. So he only needs 2 votes.
One vote.
He needs 1 vote to get what he wants and put in as a regulation. So this isn't us being petty about Bill. I never liked Bill from the jump. I'll admit it. I just try to ignore him and leave him alone. This isn't personal. This guy is
he did what he did,
and I have it on good authority that the town council is not even going to take it up. All right. So
that's a disgrace. If Jim Lettieri,
friends there, they should be ashamed of themselves.
I don't care. I like Jim, but he's a coward if he's not doing this. There's no reason why he can't just say, I want to put this to a vote. He wants something. Then Jim is going to play the game that he said he wouldn't play. He's doing something, because why not put it to a vote? Because one action, one overreach, one government official, local government official, trying to enact a vendetta on a private citizen is too much. And if they think it's not worthy, what he did and the evidence that was presented to them, that's a disgrace. Jim Lettieri is a disgrace. Rob DeMarco is a disgrace. Tracy Honan is a disgrace. Aiello's a disgrace. Flockhart's a disgrace. Fusillo, who's never there, by the way. That's the thing we haven't talked about for a while. Where's Town Councilor Fusillo? Nowhere to be found. Nowhere. He just doesn't show up.
I guess he dials in, I guess.
Does he?
I don't know. I haven't been paying attention to them as closely as
from what I've heard, nothing.
I've heard similar.
They should be ashamed. This guy did what he did to a private citizen, and they're like, well, it only happened once. That's like when the head of the school, superintendent, when she tried to gaslight you and say, oh, there's only one kid complained. Only one parent. Only a few parents complained about this. Like, oh, that they don't count. So Vasily Malios doesn't count. That's what they're saying. The town council is a disgrace. Rob DeMarco is, like I said, all of them. All of them. But John Munson is in lockstep with. Let me get to the point here.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's sidetracked.
That's okay, because there's more to go on that part of it, by the way.
Yeah. This buffoon, Bill Schmidt, this petty, narcissistic, misogynistic little man with a superiority complex is quoted in the transcript. And I'm going to read the last 2 paragraphs of the article. The Board of Health decision went through a number of public hearings, one of which was illegal. And it wasn't a number of them. One was illegal because Bill Schmidt did it a day before it was supposed to happen. And nobody knew about it. So he's a sneak, too. And the 2 women that are on the board with him are just as culpable. The Board of Health decision went through a number of public hearings and took into consideration the regulations in other communities, which they didn't, in other communities before being approved 3-0 by the board, like you said, Todd. 3, right? Now, this is the kicker. This buffoon, Bill Schmidt, quote, my 2 fellow board members are both nurses. Well, stop the presses. Stop the presses, everybody. Bill Schmidt has 2 nurses on the Board of Health with them. They must be experts. They're nurses. So I read this to my wife, and you know my wife's credentials. She's a pediatric and a family nurse practitioner, specializes in women's health and children's gastroenterology, has a PhD in nursing philosophy, has 3 masters, go down the line.
How does she even talk to you?
She's She's a brilliant girl. She's very, very
Right?
smart.
She's like, she's up on another level.
She's like the ultimate nurse. Yeah. And this is the questions that I said this to her, and she said, well, what kind of nurses are they? And she's not putting down nurses.
Of course not.
She never would do that. But her question was, what kind of nurses are they? Number one. Number two, being a nurse doesn't qualify you to be an expert in what is it? Viruses, viral infections, and
epidemiology. Is that however you?
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't give you any qualifications. Like, do they stay updated on the New England Journal of Medicine? You know, do they stay updated on on the CDC? Do they read all the current articles that come out?
And it's impossible. That's why we have so many different disciplines.
Right. Are they constantly? No, I'm assuming they don't, because the evidence that they showed, or the one of them showed, was just something you could Google. And she called somebody and took bits and pieces of what they said and made it her narrative. Right. Anyway,
the whole story was not told by you can certainly make the case that there are concerns, but you should back up the concerns with actual examples of health conditions that resulted from these concerns. Volume, did they die? Did they not die? Were they immunocompromised or not? Anyway, sorry.
This is what he said. My two fellow board members are both nurses. They looked at it from a health issue. Again, that doesn't mean anything. If you're a nurse in an ER, or if you're an OR nurse, right?
Yep.
I mean, what if you're just what if you're a nurse administrator?
Right.
Right. You still called a nurse. They looked at it from the health issue, and they decided that it did not make sense to have it in the front yard because those two nurses are so smart. They figured out that it's the angles of the wind as opposed to 30 feet away from where they're located right now. It's going to make a difference. Buffoon. Total buffoonery. That's my word of the night.
That issue, yeah.
They're nurses, so he's playing them, and they're acting like, evidently, according to him, they're playing nurse God, right? They know better. I'm a nurse. Listen to me. And again, and I have another friend that's a nurse that said, same exact thing. That doesn't mean anything. I have a nurse, she was a nurse for 30 years, retired. She's like, I wouldn't, I don't know any nurse that's an expert in that unless they work for the CDC.
So this actually can actually be tied back into the whole town council and specifically Mr. Munson, because he's hitched his wagon to this guy, even though Bill Schmidt doesn't live in John's precinct. He helped him in his last election. And I've presented some of this incompetence to John, and John defends it. In fact, John actually, here's a good example. This is a little bit off the beaten path, but it's a good example. John, back to the flag policy real quick. John and I were talking about the flag policy, the town flag policy, which basically says the town council or the town manager can make a proclamation and fly any flag they see fit. Period. End of story. And they're not taking requests is essentially what they're saying. And John represented to me that he thought that the Gadsden flag was a flag that should be flown. It has historical context. It represents inclusivity and freedom and blah, blah, blah. He totally made me think he was going to make the proclamation. In fact, in a follow-up conversation, I asked him where it was at. And he said, I'm still talking to other counselors. I don't really have the votes right now. And that's a rough quote. I'm pretty close to exactly what he said. In our most recent conversation, he decided he wasn't going to go after it. And one of the things he cited was it doesn't fit the requirements. Doesn't meet the standards. First of all, if that were true, if there were actually any standards, why didn't he bring that up in the very first place as a non-starter, right? He was not being honest with me.
No, he lied.
Secondly, by the way, there are no in the final product, the final voted on policy, there are zero guidelines as it relates to what flags can fly in terms of are they attached to national holidays or not? None of that. There's none of that. So John is lying to me.
He's lying.
Or he doesn't know what he voted on.
He lied.
Either way, it's not good. So precinct 2 voters, please, if you're watching this, share this. Look, if you want to vote for that kind of behavior, go right ahead. But I think it's important you know that your current precinct counselor, in my opinion, I'm gonna go the other way, even though he and I are in a little fight. I'm gonna go the other way and say he's not lying to me. He doesn't know, and that's worse to me as an elected official. Anyway, let's get back to the main point.
Sorry. No, I'm with you. Kurt Millar is running against.
That's right.
John Munson. Remember the name Kurt Millar. Just remember that name. Because if you want John Munson, then you're voting for Bill Schmidt, who's abuse of power. And now John Munson's either a liar or he doesn't know what he's doing. He just shows up and goes through the motions. Either way, which one do you want? Let me see. From Liz. Since my house is on the corner with my side yard on Pleasant Street, what's the difference?
There is no difference, Liz.
There isn't. And that's another thing. Bill Schmidt tried to do what the, what was it? What's the department?
Inspectional Services.
Yeah. Inspectional Services. He tried to do inspectional services work. He did. You know, in the town council sees nothing. You know what is the town council? They're cowards. Absolute cowards. Absolute cowards. Just Jim Lettieri, bury your head in the sand, ignore it, or unless he wants something from Bill. So he's going to play the political game, which he said he wasn't going to do. He's playing, and I'm only speculating. Again, Jim might not like that I'm saying this. I don't care. I like Jim. He can not like me. That's fine after I say this about him. But he's proving that he's not standing up for what he thinks, because we know he doesn't like this, but he wants something. He wants something. He's playing a political game. He needs votes. You were the one that said that to me. He said maybe he needs votes and he doesn't want to ruffle their feathers.
What I meant was, votes on the council. My thought process here is he's just trying to say, look, let me pick my battles, you know. And I've said right to him, and I'll say in front of these same 6 councilors, they're never going to work with you in any meaningful way. It's not going to happen.
They don't like him.
No.
Tracy Honan does not like Jim Lettieri. Aiello doesn't like Jim Lettieri. Flockhart doesn't like Jim Lettieri. They can. I'm just telling them. I mean,
you want to know what? There's a pattern here, by the way, in lack of accountability, right? Like, okay, so I shared more information with John than just the whole. I shared more information about Bill's issues, his bad behavior, his right. Like, how does he make the case that he has purview over chicken coops because of a public health issue? Because there's nothing in the charter that says you have oversight of all animals, keeping of animals in town. He said it himself. It's because it's a public health issue. He has purview. Well, how does that same logic not apply to dogs?
Right.
He's wrong. He's actually wrong on the facts. So I'm not sure how he keeps getting away with this. And John just dismissed that. Oh, he knows now. Oh, now he knows it's a state law. He can't write citations. He knows now he won't do it again.
He's gaslighting it.
He's gaslighting let him get away with.
He shouldn't have done it to begin with.
And let's look at these same 6 councilors when we had, here's some more. Remember the double standard of you get your Italian up? They don't hold anybody accountable for anything. But if it were the other way around, they would be hamstringing us. Absolutely. And I hate to get into that, but this is why it's important for people to get out and vote and make changes. We have to change that. We have to change that makeup. I have it on good authority, by the way, that Tracy Honan has pulled papers for counselor at large. I've also heard that if someone else pulls papers, she's not likely to follow through. But we need someone to run against her and not allow this to happen any longer. We need stuff to get done. We need to stop playing around with social justice issues. And we need to focus on how's this one? Here's another one. And this might be a good segue. Winthrop is taking and this is kind of a two-part issue. Winthrop is taking on illegal immigrants from the border. Okay, we're housing them. They're being snuck in. There's no announcements, but they're using up resources and tax dollars, especially in the schools. The Finance Commission has dug it up because that's their job. And my dear friend Shannon has been reaching out to all the leadership in town to try to figure out where we're going to get money for the unknown number of illegal immigrants in our public school system. I want everybody in Winthrop, house owner or not, kids or not in the school system, whoever watches this and share this around to think about something. Your tax dollars, including your income tax, even if you're not a homeowner, your tax dollars are going to people who never lived here before the people who lived here. We have to pay for user fees. We have to pay, bring in tissues and extra this and that. We pay the property taxes. We make the donations to the charitable events for the other poor people in our own community that we are helping. We don't mind helping more people, but now we don't have enough. We don't have enough. We don't have enough English language learner teachers. So now we have to hire more teachers. So more money is going away from our children and to children from another country who haven't paid a single dime in property taxes. And I don't want to hear about the humanitarian stuff. This is a humanitarian crisis for our own community. And I'm not exaggerating. And Joe Aiello and company I was privy to an email. Joe Aiello's bickering on there about this. Let's not politicize this thing. It has, the water's been a mess for 20 years. Mr. Aiello, let me educate you on something.
He's an idiot too.
We have never, ever in my lifetime had this many people coming over and then being bussed into our communities and put into our schools in the dark of night.
Not in Florida, buddy.
Not anymore in Florida. Anyway,
not anymore. Right? Yeah. Hell no.
But anyway, the point of it all is I think the people of Winthrop have a right to know, and that's what we're doing here today. And this is our council. This is the thinking. This is going to go basically unpunished, really, and we're all going to eat it. Because even if they get the money from the state or the feds, it's still our tax money. It's just one way, shape, or form. Thank you, Scott, for your portion and your participation. But we are taking some of your tax dollars, too.
You know who the number one smuggling ring is in this country?
The teachers union?
Nope. Catholic Charities.
Shut up.
Yep. Catholic Charities. They are the number one organization that's pushing this agenda, that's bringing them in the dark of night, processing them, giving them money, and sending them on. Catholic Charities is a corrupt organization.
Well, you know why they're doing it. They want them into the churches.
Yeah.
Which is, by the way, I pose this question for any teachers out there in the teachers union who really think your union's looking out for you. I posit this to you. They know that our school districts across the country, that our school districts' budgets are being really tasked with all these extra costs. So they know that means getting you, the teachers' raises, gets that much more difficult. Why are they okay with that? Because they know it means more teachers and more union dues. Union leadership in the teachers union cares more about themselves than they do you. It's always been that way. The Janus decision gives you the right to stop paying your dues and suffer no consequences. I strongly encourage you to do that.
We already know that.
Encourage you to do that.
We already know that goes on inside the Winthrop school system, where teachers that aren't like thinkers with the activist teachers get bullied. That's a fact.
Yep.
The teachers in the Winthrop school system, the activist teachers, are some of the worst perpetrators of bullying in the town. I could just, because we're talking about Winthrop, and I got that firsthand. So, they're no day at the beach.
No, they're not. And hold on, I want to share something before we move off this subject.
We got time.
Can you put that up?
Yeah.
So
isn't she an immigration attorney?
She is.
Yeah. Gee, I wonder why she wants to have all these illegals in. Cha-ching.
So your state senator I know this must come from the heart because it feels good, has made the decision to request. I guess the state Senate has passed her language. So the Senate and the House are making its budget season. They're making their budget requests now, right? This hasn't really even been deliberated and voted upon, but when the two sides come together, there's opportunity to vote some of her language out. So this isn't officially yet, but the fact of the matter is, she's requesting in-state tuition. In-state tuition is funded by the taxpayers of Massachusetts. Massachusetts residents get in-state tuition discounts basically for their children to go to school there because we've been paying taxes here. Now we have made it a destination for illegal immigrants. Well, if this gets passed, and your state senator Lydia Edwards, who claims to be for all of us here in Winthrop, and I can't imagine the majority of us here in Winthrop, even with or without kids, want any of our tax dollars going to non-American citizens and non-in-state residents to give them an in-state discount. So please remember that when voting, if she ever gets a competitor, because that's the other thing that goes on in Massachusetts. We don't put people up against these people. But this is just another example of political activism in the House too. Like there's no reason anyone who cares about all people, who claims to care about all her constituents, would do something like this. This is basically making my tax dollars worth less to me and increasing my cost for college if my kids decide to go to state universities. It's nuts. It's nuts.
Yep.
Anyway, so there's that.
Yeah. Well, everything you said is right. Everything you said is true. And no, she doesn't care. Once she gets in, she gets in. You know, she's going to do whatever she wants. Then she'll come back in 2 years and she'll be, oh, Winthrop, you know, in the last year, she'll start doing stuff for Winthrop. And then, I need your vote, and blah, blah, blah. You know.
I will say this, though, Scott, when this issue is going to come up for a vote, it's a budget issue. And our friend Jeff has to vote on it. I can't imagine. I mean, if I know Jeff, this is something he doesn't agree with. I can't imagine. I don't know. I wonder is what I'm getting at. But he has to vote on this too. But he's on the House, so I'm going to find out what he's thinking.
At that level, it starts to become a what can you do for me, what can I do for you type thing. You give me what I want, I'll give you what you want. I mean, they're not going to kick me out. I'm not getting impeached. I'm not getting removed. You know, I'm just going to do what I can do, what I want to do, either way. But, you know, Jeff so far seems to be right down the line. Seems to be AWOL on the Winthrop bus issue.
Yeah, really.
You know?
I should know what. I should be familiar with him, with his position on that, and I'm not.
Said he was going to, I'm going to look into it. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to address it. And, you know, but he's got other communities to deal with, you know, whatever. I'm sure Winthrop's on his list, but, you know, getting back to a more local level and to get back and maybe close out on this Bill Schmidt. Well, we're not done with him, but maybe just for this episode we are. They have to take a vote. Jim has to put it to a vote to remove Bill Schmidt and see who does it, who agrees with what he did. This is what we want to know. And maybe that's what they're afraid of. They're afraid of the fact that it's going to get out, that because we will get it out, that who stands with Bill Schmidt and who stands up and says, you were wrong, you overreached, you abused your power, you must go.
I find it funny because by the way, that Tracy's been silent on this whole chicken coop thing when she, in fact, wrote him an email saying that policy to remove it from the front yards is wrong-headed.
Well, Munson's speaking for everybody, evidently.
Why? When
Munson told you you won't get the votes to get him off. So he's speaking for everybody.
Yep, that's true. He could be,
You know?
He might not know what he's talking about, you mean?
Well, he's either bluffing or he knows that they've already said, let's not vote. They don't want to vote on it because they'll get exposed for standing up for an abusive, whatever you want, head of the Board of Health.
Let's change the question. What does one have to do to get this council to hold someone accountable? I mean, look, they can wait out the clock. Jim can wait out the clock, by the way, because he gets to a point. What's his name's all done in November, in January. Bill Schmidt. So if Jim doesn't reappoint him, he's out. It's irrelevant. So we could sit back and be quiet and go, all right, he'll be gone. But that's not the point. People have to understand that under leadership, you will be held accountable for your performance to the extent that we're allowed to.
Especially if you go out of your way to harass a private citizen.
I mean,
a taxpayer.
That's it.
You go out of your way to do it like Bill the Shill Schmidt did. It's a disgrace. And the town council and the town manager want nothing to do with it. They're like, oh, cowards. They're all cowards. All of them. One of them should say we need to put this to a vote. But no. Is that how they one council, it just takes one council to present this?
Actually, I believe, so Jim controls the agenda. So a councilor can request to have it put on the agenda, or Jim can just put it on the agenda. But all the agenda items go through Jim.
I wonder if Bill the Shill Schmidt was even reprimanded.
Well, when I talked to Mr. Munson, he told me he had to talk Bill off the ledge, and that, because Bill wasn't done. And, John's like, well, come on. No, for the 6 chicken coops in Winthrop, you're making a big deal about this thing. It's like,
that's not a reprimand.
And he's not the authority to do so neither.
Yeah. And so you should see the guy's he's not rational. Bill the Shill Schmidt is not rational because, again, he's always the smartest guy in the room. And God forbid you go against him, because he's been on the board for years with these two women lackeys of his that will do whatever he says and vote whatever he tells them to vote for, and writes emails for him, right? Like we showed last week. Does all the work for him. Shame on them. Shame on them. Unless they're like-minded. And then they're just buffoons too. Let me see. He was down in Inspection Services a few weeks ago asking for them to come and write a citation. Well, the citation hasn't been written yet. So,
no, it's not.
Isn't that office's discretion? Isn't that their discretion?
No, what actually has to happen is the board has to vote to issue the citation. Then it has to be delivered to Inspectional Services for execution. Now, I also have it on, give this a 70% accuracy rating. They won't do it. They don't want to do it. That office thinks this is absolute horse pucky.
Yeah. Yeah. And Bill, what do you mean you won't do what I tell you to do?
Yeah,
he's such a petty little man. A petty little old man. The only thing he has going for him is this. Since he
doesn't have oversight on dog poop, perhaps there'll be some folks out walking their dogs.
Oh, no. We don't condone that. We don't condone that. But we also don't condone.
Just show them how to pick it up.
Yeah, we also don't condone people bringing their dogs down the center,
right,
and using it as a dog park for their dogs to urinate and poop on. After the town just spent $15 million having the downtown center district, the nice brick jungle down there with a little horseshoe ring of grass around it. Have they put up a sign yet?
No, and it is a no dogs area. It's a no dogs area. Nobody knows that. And how are people supposed to know if you don't put a sign up?
Yeah.
I mean, is that going to make us bad people if we want a no dog area?
Dun, dun,
I mean, Scott, you love dogs, right? Am I mad if I want to eat without a dog at my foot?
No.
A strange dog, even worse?
Yeah,
right?
Even worse, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What do you mean you don't want to sit in the grass with your kid that's been urinated on an hour earlier by somebody at Somerset Ave? What do you mean you don't want your kid sitting in my dog's urine? How dare you? You're a bad person. My dog can pee anywhere it wants.
Yeah.
Let me see. Once again, he didn't follow the law by going and demand for additional citations. That's strike 2. But but they don't care. The people on the board of the town council doesn't care about any of this. Let Bill they're afraid of him, evidently.
I'm not looking at this up because on our end it says Facebook user, but I'm guessing this is Vasily. And
I think it's it's Vasily.
If that's you, my man, what do you know? Share an update.
Let me see.
Are we going to get some satisfaction?
Let's see what Liz has to say. It will not matter. There are no dogs on the beach from May to September, but that doesn't stop everyone from coming to Donovan's Beach, taking their dog off leash and letting them go. So there's that, right? There's that. But if you look at the center, it's a very small area, right? And there's a lot of attention around it. And I'm not condoning what you're saying, Liz. I agree with you, right? But that little patch of grass around the center that the taxpayers paid $15 million for the concrete jungle there, the brick jungle, with the worst seating I've ever seen. That's pathetic seating. That's more focused. So you're under a magnifying glass there. People try to sneak on the beach, right? Nobody's at the beach, so I'll just kind of let my dog go hit and run. And it's the same, but it's not, right? I think when you're under a magnifying glass, there's businesses all around, and I'm sure there's businesses that don't like seeing that either down the center, you know. But
it's that area that little area down the center where you sit. It's like a dining room and a litter box all in one.
Liz agrees. She agrees. Okay, so let's move on. We had a little bit to cover tonight.
Yeah.
The ferry is back.
Yeah,
Yay. The ferry's back.
I'm not.
Except now it has a stop at Logan Airport. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah. Do you know where at Logan? Like,
no, I don't know where, but I'm sure there's buses waiting for passengers, shuttles.
Yeah, it's part. So I'm not at all educated enough on the finances of it at this point to make an educated opinion or statement about it. But I can say that there has been a lot of discussion about a municipal arrangement where, like, Winthrop, Quincy, and some other community have to join. It has to be the boat has to stop at all those locations, but the municipalities get extra money. So I don't know how much of this we're funding, or if we're still responsible for hiring the captain.
Well, I would probably think, that's a good question because it's only running Monday through Friday.
So we're
not running on the weekends, right?
Yeah.
I guess there's 4 trips a day, and each one includes Logan. And I think the last trip back from Boston is like 4:30 or something. I could be wrong, but it's in that general area.
Yep.
So why Logan was added, no one seems to know. Because if you're looking at people that go to work at Logan, that's a 24/7 operation. Airport's a 24/7. So there's a lot of shifts evidently from 2 to 10. And then there's 4 to noon, 4 to noon and 8 to 4. It's always rotating shifts throughout all the different aspects of the airport. And so it's not really going to benefit anybody that works there. Is it for public transportation? Who knows? It is going into Boston, so why would they stop at Logan? That I'm still trying to get an answer on. But the other thing is this. The boat holds 75 people, evidently. The Valkyrie, right? Holds 75 people. How many parking spots are there in the landing, right? So this is the breakdown, because the question is, what if people in Revere, in East Boston, and Beachmont say, hey, you know what? I'll just take the ferry into Boston instead of, because the T is going to be worse than ever. It's like King Kong versus Godzilla. Once they close the tunnel, right?
Yep.
The strain is going to be unbelievable. So people are going to be looking for alternate routes to get into the city. And if they say, there's going to be employers that are going to understand this and they'll adjust hours for people, who knows, right? So this is the breakdown of parking spots in the, see, it never comes out right on this. Anyway, let me see. So you can see the colors, right?
Yep.
So from what I have here, the yellow is car top parking only. There's 21 spaces.
Car top?
Yeah, car top. So I guess they meaning the top of the landing, because that's over by the water, right?
Yeah, this is over by that little harbor.
Yeah,
on the point.
It's off to the
you come in from Shirley right here.
Okay, so it's right there facing that little beach there.
Yep.
Right?
Okay.
The purple is trailer parking only. That's 28 tandem spaces. All right. Plus one, I think it said. The orange is ferry parking. It's 33 spaces. The red is the harbor master. That's 5 spaces. The light blue is shared parking, 26 spaces and 13 tandem trailer spaces.
This right here?
We can't, it won't show on this
next to the purple?
Yeah, next to the purple, the light blue, right?
Yep.
That's shared parking. Then you have the green, which is around the outer edges. General parking, 14 spaces. General parking, 14 spaces, and general parking, 25 spaces. So people come in. What's the difference between general parking and car top parking? I don't know.
No clue.
What the difference between the green and the yellow is? I don't know what that is. Ferry parking, 33 spaces. Who's to say that somebody doesn't park in the general parking because, well, the ferry parking is full.
Right.
So you start to get this accordion effect. Either way, they have designated spots, and I guess the harbor master has the right to determine how many tandem spots there will be on a day. So they could probably add 26 spots if they take 13 of those trailer parking only. 28 tandem spaces.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
But that means that someone's going to have to be there. Someone's going to have to be there to say, okay, we have to open up these spots now. Is somebody checking as they come in to say, where are you parking? What are you here for? Right? No, because they're not paying anybody to do that. Right? And then there's what if I want to go to Florida? Todd wants to go to Florida. Let's say Todd wants to go to Florida. And you want to get over to the airport, right? But it's crazy. And you don't want to pay for the parking. And you live in Beachmont, right? Or you live in Revere. So you drive over to Winthrop, you park in the parking lot, and you go on a 2-week vacation to Florida. And you parked for free, right? Parked for free because somebody had said there's no overnight parking in the landing. I don't know. It's a public landing, right?
It is a public landing. I will say when I put my boat in, I have to pay the $5. So they put the sticker in my window for those spots in the middle, those purple spots.
Right.
But other than that, I don't see anybody walking around checking cars ever. I don't see any meters. I don't see people when they park in those general spots walking into the the little building there.
Yeah.
The ferry building.
And I say 2 weeks. I'm over exaggerating it,
sure.
But if they want to go for 4 days, 3 days, the car's going to park there for 3 days.
I think you can get away with it.
You know, what's that?
I think you can get away with it.
Yeah. So now you're taking up a spot. I mean, there's so many variables here to this. And then you're going to have people parking in the street. So the street parking too, in front of the yacht club, going all the way up to the beginning of the landing, right?
Yep.
I think it's going to, I have no issue with the ferry. It's not a, as I always say, it's not a hill that I'm going to die on, the ferry. I actually have a friend of mine that's going to start using the ferry and just Uber from wherever it takes a waterfront, and then just charges it to his company. So he's kind of looking forward to the ferry, right?
Right.
But it's kind of, I don't know. There's only 4 trips a day, so your timing is I don't know. I'm just looking at the parking issue. So it's already bad enough to park anywhere in Winthrop.
I would posit that the people who are suggesting these types of alternative transportation to try to reduce traffic are the same people who are introducing all these traffic easement solutions, like down the center where they have bump outs and, like they have in Boca. When I used to visit my mother-in-law in Boca, at every intersection was a little mini rotary, right? It was meant to, I don't know, maybe keep the traffic slow or keep you from having to stop at every.
There's
I don't know.
neighborhoods that have that, yeah.
Yeah, they're going to start introducing that stuff here too. But they make these traffic easement issues make it inconvenient to drive. When you take parking spots away from businesses that are on the street, you make it harder for them to do business, but you also make it less convenient for people to drive. And I'm not sure what, people have to drive. That's the problem. But this is all by design. They want you to take public transportation. They want to shame you, make you uncomfortable, and tax you into submission. It's what they do. I mean, it's what they do. Gas taxes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Gas taxes, parking stickers now, the resident permit parking stickers.
Yeah. Who enforces those, by the way?
They don't, I mean, it's
they
Winthrop
don't.
Police.
I was staying at my buddy's house. I had to rent a car. And there was like, I don't know, at least 4 or 5 nights that I left the car out on the street.
No ticket?
No.
It's the police department.
Or do they hire a company? I heard they maybe hire a company.
No, we had one, and then there was a big kerfuffle with the union, and so that went. The union doesn't want to do it. They want to bargain for it.
Right.
But they won't let us outsource it.
Liz put a, I'm sorry, Todd. Liz,
go ahead.
Liz Sorrentino put a hyperlink. Liz, could you post that on the Winthrop Votes Facebook group? And then we'll put that out. What is it? It says Harbor Master Department, frequently asked questions, parking rules, public landing. Thank you, Liz. Yeah. It's just, again, I have no issue with the ferry myself. I think it's a great alternate solution to public transportation other than the bus, Uber. It's expensive. It's not cheap.
It's not cheap.
Each trip. But what are you paying for gas to get into downtown Boston with tolls, et cetera?
Well, right? What are we paying? $350 just to go through the tunnel, aren't we?
Yeah. So I don't know. Again, I wish it could work. I wish it was but I don't think it's ever going to be a flawless system.
Well, I think we all need to recognize that nothing's going to be perfect, but
yeah,
for sure, if you're trying to build a community that centers around the family, families need reliable, timely transportation that has room. Basically need on-demand transportation that can help them move people and things. If you make that hard for them, they'll go elsewhere to find it and raise their family. It's right. It's quite frankly, it's that simple.
Yeah, absolutely. So what have we learned tonight, people? What have we learned?
Local
John Munson.
politics.
No, let's do a recap. Let's do a recap and get your display ready for the meetings. The local.
Oh yeah,
You have it.
I do.
All right, good man. We learned that Bill Schmidt is a petty little man who's still trying to win his war, his battle against Vasily Malios, a private taxpaying citizen who dared to stand up to him. And Bill Schmidt abused his power. We learned that the town council seemed to be full of cowards that don't want to address a public official using his position to go after a private taxpaying citizen. We learned that John Munson, up for re-election in November, is in lockstep with Bill Schmidt and supports him. That's what we've learned. We learned that Kurt Millard doesn't support him, and he's running against John Munson. So Kurt Millard, remember that name in November. Precinct 2 people. Oh, you know what? I just wanted to touch on this. We still got a couple minutes.
Yeah, go for it.
John Munson has put stuff, and of course the transcript, the editor, who's a bleeding heart liberal, takes John Munson's, his letter to the editor, the I love me letter, the I love John Munson letter.
Yeah.
Whereas I know somebody that's written that guy, I don't know how many letters to the editor that never got published because it didn't go along with his thoughts, his beliefs, his agenda. John Munson puts all this stuff. Go look at it, people. I encourage you to go to the letters of the editor. Look what John Munson did, right? Look at all the stuff that he did, right? You know what John Munson did, people? He did what he's supposed to do.
What, he voted?
Yeah, he's supposed to do those things. I don't understand this. John Munson's supposed to do everything he said. Look what I did. Look what I did. You didn't go above and beyond. You didn't. It's like I used to get a kick out of this when I was law enforcement in the Air Force. They'd give people, they'd give them certificates of achievement for writing DUIs. You had 5 DUI, in a month. You're supposed to do that. You're a law enforcement officer. You don't get patted on the back for stuff you're supposed to do. Like Chris Rock said, those guys say, I take care of my baby. I take care of my kid. You're supposed to take care of your kid. John Munson, you're supposed to do what you put out there in the newspaper. Look at me. I'm John Munson. I'm running for re-election. Bill Schmidt sent out an email on my behalf telling you, link those two, John Munson and Bill Schmidt. Link them. If you vote for one, you get the other. Anyways, John Munson puts this I love me letter a couple of times, I believe. Again, he's supposed to do those things. Don't look at it and go, wow, he's doing a great job. No, he's doing what he's supposed to do. Right? He hasn't done anything spectacular other than nothing. Oh, look, I had a photo op with some people down the park with trees. Right? Remember that one?
I'd argue he's done some things that have taken, that some people, a lot of people, I think would be angry about when he's taken their right away to vote on some suggestions to change the charter. They don't even get to see them because he decided against it. Him and 5 other votes decided against it.
Precinct 2, vote for Kurt Millard.
Kurt Millard.
If
What it comes down to, for me, it's not about any one person's person. If you want more accountability, if you believe in holding government accountable, if you believe in trying to give relief to taxpayers, for God's sake, and if you believe children should be protected, we need to change the council. Yeah. We need to change the council because I can't convince anybody that some of the stuff that's happening in our schools, should be grounds for termination. But it should be. There's a lot of things happening, and I'm not just talking Winthrop schools. We've already been up and down the spectrum on that.
And Tracy Honan has to go too.
Yeah,
we've been saying that though for 2 years. This isn't new. She pulled papers. We'll see.
After she said, "I'm done. This is it. It's over." She pulled papers. What do you think that's about?
She can't give up the power. She can't give up the power.
I was told that they were convinced that there was a lot of canoodling and convincing.
Yeah, well, she's going to be in a race because someone's running against her. And she better have a really strong campaign.
Fingers crossed.
She's got to have a real, because we are going to expose her, and we're just like we're exposing John Munson and like we exposed the last town council president. We are going to expose them. And there's other stuff that's going to come in about Munson, guaranteed. Can you answer that question, Todd?
It is difficult for the town council to remove someone from an appointed position. Is it difficult? I am curious about the process the town council have to follow. Yeah, it's not really difficult. You have to have cause, which I don't know. There seems to be, there are varying levels of subjectivity. It's a subjective reason, I guess, because I don't know that there's any written definitions of what they consider cause. But, inappropriate, unprofessional behavior could be one.
Abuse of power.
Abuse of power is absolutely one. And then you have to get the votes, right? So there's 9 people on the town council. Right now, you have 6 of them who are Bill Schmidt sympathizers. And weirdly, these same people are of the ilk of, Me Too movement and, break the glass ceiling and, men can be women and women can be men and all this other. But they don't seem to care that this guy, literally on screen was talking
caught in 4K.
Caught in 4K, talking down and being misogynistic towards his peers on the board. So all they have to do is make a motion and he's gone, and he can appeal it all he wants, but I'm not sure he's going to win any appeals. And he broke the rules. He's not supposed to write citations.
He's a disgrace.
He's an absolute disgrace. Ignorance is no excuse of the law either. That's the other thing. The town councilors, everybody should be emailing your town councilors and telling them you want this guy removed. Share this with people that will take some action. For once in our lives, let's take our government back.
You know what we're going to do? We're going to speculate. If they don't take a vote, right? We're going to speculate based on what John Munson said, that they don't have the votes to get rid of Bill the Shill Schmidt, right? We're going to speculate who would have voted to keep him. And then we're going to just start naming names. We can speculate. No law against that. What do we got here? Can anyone appeal the decision being made by the Board of Health? That's another question. Evidently not. Evidently, there's no appeals process for the Board of Health. He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with any appeals process. I mean, Kurt had alluded to something at the state level. There's been no follow-up on that. Maybe he has done some work on it, but
the local level should have an appeals. Everything has an appeal.
You know what our appeal needs to be? Elections.
Well,
change the board, and not only is Bill gone, but that policy can be removed or changed or made better or stronger.
All right.
Right?
All right, buddy. Good show.
All right, kids. So we learned a lot, huh?
Yeah. Just the beginning of the summer, too.
Yeah, and there's shit's just starting to, stuff's just starting to perk up. But again, like I always say, and I'm going to take us out because it's time.
Yeah.
All politics is at the local level. It's such a broken record. But if again, we'll thank you guys for watching. If there's any time, no time like the present to get involved right now, share the crap out of these shows, tell people what's going on, make your votes, make your voices heard. Your tax dollars are being used without your permission. And I'm not just talking locally, but changing things locally will go a long way in helping that. We can stand up to if we had a board, a school board and a town council with some backbone during the pandemic, we could have stood up to a whole lot of things. And maybe been the only municipality in the country. But so what? What would they do to us? We're in the middle of a pandemic that they all know was bullcrap. They didn't want it to be exposed. We need strong people on these councils to start standing up to our DESE and our elected officials higher above us who aren't doing the right thing by us and just forcing mandates down on us that are unfunded. Anyway, I'm off my box.
All right. Well, like I always say, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you like it, share it. If you didn't like it, well, thanks for watching this long. we'll be back next Tuesday. We're doing Tuesday nights now. And as I always say, you are the engine that runs this machine. Without you guys, it would just be me and Todd ranting to each other, which we do that anyways. Sometimes it's one-sided. These comments. And if it jumps around, it varies. Whoever is on a roll, it's the other one sits back and listens.
We could know.
And this is just even on these are phone calls. So, anyways, everybody, thank you again. We hope that we are giving you some information that you didn't know about. We have a lot more coming up in future episodes. We're going to be talking about the public steps. The public steps in Winthrop. There's something going on there. There's something going on with the public steps. We're still have information on the zoning for the old junior high, middle school, and the auditorium. We have questions about that. I still say just tear it down, tear it down, tear it down. Make a big green space, fountain, trees, benches, families. Nice. Nothing has to be there. Town council seems to think something has to go there. Something has to go there. Nothing has to go there. You know what has to go there? People, residents, families, fun.
Ask Bill if we could put a bird bath.
Yeah. Oh, anyways. And remember, if you're a nurse, you know everything. You know everything, according to Bill Schmidt. You know everything.
Right.
Good for you. All right, we'll see you next Tuesday night.